I don't know exactly. It's been a long time ago, I guess.
Well, it was pretty soon after Vietnam, though, wasn't it? Or was it? No.
No, it was a while after that, but that's why they sent. It was, I guess, at least I don't know, 10 or 12 years, cause. But see, I had never been to the doctor. I had no need to go into the doctor. I didn't know I was diabetic, and then I went to the doctor up here at Jackson, Dr. Witherington. He's still my doctor, and he sent me to. He knew I was a Vietnam veteran, and he asked me. He said, "Did you ever get sprayed with Agent Orange?" And I said, "Well, yeah." He said, "Well, I want you to go to the VA hospital." And he said, "I'll call." He's a real good doctor. He said, "I'll call and make you an appointment." I said, "I got a feeling that's where your diabetes come from."
Mm-hmm.
So he called down there, and they called me, and I went down there, and Lord, they drove, I bet a half pint of blood or pint of blood out of me, and they sent it off to Nashville up there, and they told me the name of the place, but I can't think of it. And when the results come back, it was from Agent Orange, and they called me, and I had to go down there, and then I had to talk with the doctors and stuff about it down there. So they said yes, and it basically a lot of the veterans that got sprayed with it, and you ought to heard what the complications of a lot of that stuff was. Like you said, I know number one thing was diabetic, number two was liver problem.
Mm-hmm.
And it was that doctor told me about a whole list of stuff it could cause, and he said that was some bad stuff and caused a lot of problems. He said they had a lot of veterans that was coming in there, Vietnam veterans. And it's been a while since I've been down there, but the last time I was there, he said they still had veterans coming in, finding out cancer in the, excuse me, cancer in the intestines all over the body. He said, he told me it was 13 different things that was wrong with a lot of people that come down there. He told me, he said, "I know it don't sound right saying you lucky, but he said, you're very fortunate that diabetes is the only thing you got that's, from Agent Orange." He said there's a lot more. He named several different kind of cancers and stuff that caused by that Agent Orange. So.
Well, I know that, in some of the research that I've done on the internet, you look at, there was a photographer who went over to Vietnam and documented the effects of Agent Orange on the Vietnamese. And they have pictures of all these physical deformities and stuff down to third and generation Vietnamese. And you just have to think, if it did it to them, you can't think that it didn't do something to our folks.
Our folks, yeah. But that's one thing I'll tell you, and be honest with you, that's right off the bat. A lot of those politicians and stuff, like I say, knew that, but we were told, and I won't call no names over there, but we were told that a lot of them had money invested in different things, like this ammunition and these new M16 rifles. Oh, don't get me started on that. And ammunition, and that's when they went to the camouflage clothes and stuff. Then they had millions invested in that, and they said that they knew if the war ended too soon, they'd lose millions of dollars, and said they had to be sure that war kept on going for a period of time to make the money they had intended to make and told that they would be back. Now, that's what we were told.
Mm-hmm.
And we would have reporters come over there every once in a while, and they would talk to us, Now, if there was an officer involved, they wouldn't say much. But in this case, a bunch of us plain old guys, I call it out, they would tell us a lot of stuff, what was going on back in the States as far as political and about the war in Vietnam and all. But it was a sad situation.
It was, yeah.
For us and the Vietnamese people too. But I just thank the Lord every day, and I know I'm not the best person in the world, but I try to live a good Christian life, and I thank Him every day for bringing me home safe. But still, in the back of my mind, I hear some of these people talk about Vietnam. I just get up and walk off.
Yeah.
They don't know half a lot of them what they're talking about.
No, they don't. They've read something or seen something on TV.
Yeah, or listen to some
Yeah.
politician that
Yeah.
wanted them things his way. But, I have to really, when I'm in a crowd like that, I have to get away from it, you know what I'm saying. Because I don't want to do something I have to go to prison for.
No, let's not do that. How did you feel when you returned home as pretty well a teenager still, for the most part, to the response that the vets got, to the negative response by everyone?
Well, I'll just say this. When I come home with a plane load of troops from Vietnam. And I'll give you this example. We processed out at it was an Army base in California. They bussed us from the airport to this place here. It was in Oakland, California. I can't remember the name of it. We got there about 2 o'clock one morning, and they shook us down on that plane before we'd get off. And I thought, what in the... We done been shook down 4 or 5 times before we left Vietnam. They checked us again before we got off the plane, and we all was wondering, well, what for? But when the bus pulled up to that processing out center, it took about a 24-hour day, full day to get processed out. It was an aisle down through there about as wide as that driveway right there. And they had big old tall fences up, and I guess they was 20 foot tall, and it wasn't no way to get through them, you know, the kind of wire and stuff they had. We just figured out, what is all that stuff for? And in about 5 minutes before we got off the bus, I wish you could have seen the hippies and stuff come out of the woodworks and got on both sides of that fence. And they was calling us every kind of name in the book. And I seen then, we all understood why they shook us down then. They threw feces on us. They spit on us. And they hollered some of the worst stuff you ever heard. And we seen them why we got shook down and why our fence was there. But that's the way we was treated. And then I was home a while. In certain places you go in. See, that's why when you was in a crowd, you didn't tell nobody that you just got back from Vietnam. Because you knew 9 times out of 10 what it was going to be and what you were going to be called. And so that's why a lot of veterans wouldn't say nothing, wouldn't even talk about it. And I've just got word here in the last 3 or 4 years, I can begin to say some things to my family, you know. But it just, I don't know. We were just looked down on, I reckon. Because of, and I know it was an unpopular war, but people don't realize when you're drafted, you either do what Uncle Sam tells you to do or you go to prison, you know. That's just the way it was. But I know people had to understand that, but there's still a lot in places sometimes, and you can tell it when you walk into a place. You know, the best thing you can do is keep your mouth shut. That's the way I've stayed out of trouble these whole years. And thank the Lord, I never got on drugs. I never took a drug in my life, dope. Now I did one time drink some beer in Vietnam, but we couldn't get no water. Our purifying station that furnished us water broke down. And we called in and told them, said, look, we gonna have something to drink out here. We done got in bad shape. And after you get so thirsty and stuff, you go to hallucinating and things, you know. And we told them, said, y'all gonna have to get us something out here. Our lieutenant called it. You know what they brought us out there and drank? Hot beer in cans. And when you'd break that top, you'd lose half of it. It just squirt high as that ceiling right there. But that saved us till they got the water out there. But that's the only drinking I've done. And I've never been in no trouble. I have tried to live a Christian life. And I always said that you read a lot, and you still do sometimes, about Vietnam veterans. And I pray to the Lord to give me the strength not to get in that situation and to keep myself straight, and thank Him so far He has. And I think I've got it made now. I got a little more sense to boot too, you know. But I've tried so hard to stay straight. And I'm a chairman of the deacons in our church, and I'm thankful for that. And I teach the young adults, and I lead their singing. And I'm so thankful that I'm not turned out like a lot of the rest of them. I'm not saying I'm no better than nobody else, but I have really, really tried to be a decent person, because I don't want to be like some of them are, you know. And you know well as I do what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
and I've tried hard all my life since I got back out of there, to be a good father, a good husband, a good grandpa, and a good Christian. And I'll try that till the day I die. But like I say, a lot of that I've done, I've avoided some people to stay out of trouble, you know. But anyhow, I don't know who thought I needed to be interviewed, but at least it gives me a feeling to express how I feel, and not have to be in a big crowd. I can take crowds, but after a certain amount of time, if things just going wrong, like I say, I have to leave. I'm not going to stay in. Because I don't want to get myself in trouble after all these years.
Yeah, no, you don't want to do that. Well, I appreciate you, and appreciate you sharing what you've been through.
Well, I appreciate you coming out. You're a real nice lady. I appreciate that.
Well,
And my wife will tell you, I don't